Understand this, right? I'm going to say this once, okay? This is an organic thing. Every week something comes up. You know, Rolling Stones might decide tomorrow that they want to do an interview the next day. You can't, that's the level of work. That's why I was saying to you how important it is that you get a group of people who are all very confident about their characters. Jamie, I spent years not explaining myself and just expecting Americans to get it. They didn't. Americans like you to be nice. They like you to explain things clearly. They like to feel that they're, you know, they don't want to feel you know what I mean? They have a real problem with English people to start off with. And the people that do well in America are the ones that go and fucking explain it all, you know, and play the game that they're, you know. The guy got it. The guy, first thing he said to me, he said, I can see how difficult this is, you know, but I really am into this, you know. So I just said, yeah, well, you know, what we're trying to do, you know.
Hey yo beautiful people, do you know about Singstar? A karaoke video game. This version of Singstar had 19 to 2000. As the music video played while me and my dad sang the song, the visuals were stuck in my head. These characters look funny, and make music too. At first I thought they were just all some form of monkeys. I mean, for a name like Gorillaz. Besides that, I didn't think much of this song by Gorillaz. Then I heard an earworm of a song that had a microwave beep every once in a while, but I didn't think much of what it was called or who it was by. Many years later, I heard about Gorillaz releasing Cracker Island. Oh wait, I know Gorillaz, the band that made 19 to 2000. I just didn't realize they had been making other music this whole time. I listened to Cracker Island, I liked it. Went into their Spotify, and then got fully engrossed with all the music and in-universe real lore. Today, the band's albums are a mainstay in my playlist, and I have all of the vinyls of their discography, including The Fall. So I want to analyze the albums for myself as someone who has been spoon-fed rations of the band's history throughout the years and then taking one whole bite of the food on the plate along with eating the plate itself. I won't be going over much of the in-universe real lore of Gorillaz, rather just essentials to understand the sounds and the lyrics of the songs. In this first video, we'll be analyzing Gorillaz, the album, the album called Gorillaz. Self-titles are funny.
In the time before dark pop, chaos reigned. From the chaos came Gorillaz.
Before going into self-titled, it's good to know where it came from. A shared distaste for MTV. Lead singer of Blur, Damon Albarn, and Teen Girl artist Jamie Hewlett met in 1990, practically just being acquaintances through Blur. The two ended up sharing a flat in 1997 after they both had their relationships end. As they shared the flat, what would pop up on their TV was MTV with their slab of pop culture. Albarn was cooling down with Blur of being Britpop fame and going back to be a hit for American listeners with Blur's self-titled, and Hewlett, I don't know, research doesn't say much. He needed a job. But the two had the equal drive to create. So they started brainstorming a band that is manufactured of substance. Damon is on the music, Jamie is on the art. There were sounds and rhythms Damon wanted to experiment with that he couldn't do with Blur. Jamie was creating pop star stereotypes that eventually became their own characters. By those stereotypes of around 90s aesthetics, we got a certain edge to this band. A lot of weapon, graffiti, nudity, Satanists, and zombie imagery. That all starts with Murdoch Foss Nichols, the bassist and leader of this band, a Satanist that has been wanting to make a hit band. Stuart Pott, or 2D, the lead singer and the whip of the band, a drug addict on account of his head trauma and Murdoch knocking out his eyes. Russell Hobbs, the drummer and the brains of the band. Then there is Noodle, a 10-year-old skilled guitarist of the band. This band was named Gorilla because at first the guitarist was Paula Cracker, but then she got kicked out because Murdoch got a little something in the bathrooms, but then changed to Gorillaz. So as Jamie was world building, Damon worked on demos while also recording Blur's next album, 13. Eventually, the album started getting made at Studio 13, with Dan the Automator joining as a producer, as well as Kid Koala and Junior Dan. Dan the Automator is ultimately a sample hip-hop producer, and with Damon's curiousness and constant creativity of music, the two created the first album, Gorillaz, released in 2001.
I hate you.
There are about 6 main categories in self-titled that I put together on my comprehension of the album. Dub is a subgenre that comes from reggae but extends to electronic sounds, which Damon heavily started focusing on in later development of the album.
It's a sweet sensation over the dub.
Rehash is the glorious upbeat opener of the album, written by Tootie and Murdoch. And by written, I mean Murdoch wrote random phrases on magnets and Tootie put them together on a fridge. As for other elements of the song, Tootie was told to sing more confidently, along with including a broken sitar sound. Noodle sang backup. Murdoch recorded his bass line with an amp that is underwater to make it muffled and dubby, along with bullying kids to sing on the track. And Kid Koala assisted Russell with decks. Okay, so really none of this is true. I think Albarn and Hewlett wanted to make some wacky scenarios of the band, making the song sound more exciting. As for the song itself, there is something about the vocal processing of Tootie and Noodle, Albarn and Hattori, that makes this song sound so full. With the jumpy guitar strums that aren't stereoized and a soft drum pattern, Rehash is a great opener to what feels like a trip to a bustling city night as you stare out. Let's go over the lyrics. It seems a bit nonsense, right? Albarn in the past with Blur has been clear with British life, love, and pretty boy stuff, but this is different. It's catchy in a way that Americans can find catchy, and I believe that's how Albarn tapped in with an American audience. It's a dub that doesn't want to stop, and the drugstore Soul Boy is inspired by it. The chorus then takes this verse to criticism. Pop trends won't stop because of the money coming in. Money makes the world go round for better or worse. So the trends rehash. '19 to 2000, featuring Noodle on the chorus again. 19 to 2000 is the American cartoon song of Gorillaz, with its car ride music video and a funky/funny beat. It's an iconic song for the band. The remix was the one that got plays though. Tootie's alarm clock hits. The song was also a slight collab with Tina Weymouth and Chris France, with Tina on backing vocals and Chris delivering additional percussion. What about the actual song though? Well, as the title suggests, the song talks about the transition from the 1900s to the 2000s. Time is moving fast, but you must stay to keep your groove on, though it comes with a little on-the-nose sadness. Don't dance to our music in a happy mood. Well, at the time, these songs are pretty hard to dance to. Rock the House works. Then comes the pre-chorus, which basically goes against Tootie's statement here. It doesn't mean anything, as Albarn has been saying for years. It's a parody of American pop song lyrics, and when songs have that kind of non-sex lyrics on an instrumental like this, it's danceable. So ultimately, the chorus replies, "Get the cool shoe shine," meaning we had to get accustomed to things changing. It's an ironic pop song that comments on change and explains everything Gorillaz, a cartoon, activists for the greater good. The second verse, which people seem to move past, nails the message of the song. We are experiencing scares caught up between logic and instinct. If we are heading towards a world ending, well, what do we have to lose? It is the Gorillaz message commenting on the world's trends. Are we facing logic or instinct when we are facing a dying world? The verses of the track speak the real meaning. The chorus is there to distract you. Starshine is a dub song that was recorded for left ear listeners. Perfect if the teacher only wants you wearing one earbud, I guess. It's hauntingly ambient with minimal lyrics, and Tootie didn't even write them. There was a Fee Cypher verse, but was thrown out and never released until a random day in 2011 on SoundCloud.
You know we shine like the stars in the heavens above. Night and day, it's Gorillaz who be showing you love.
So best to say these are Murdoch's lyrics. Yeah, there's not much here. Best to describe it as symbolic depression. It makes sense. Starshine comes after Latin Simone with Farrah's reply lament. So will the light ever find a narrator? Slow Country is more reggae leaning, but the drum and bass have that dub feeling, and also one of the lesser known self-titled songs. It was originally meant to be a single, but Clint Eastwood just overshadowed everything about the album, so yeah, no. I love this sound. I could listen to this slow jamming when I'm laying in bed. A lot of the track mentions the city life and nightlife with the narrator seeking money and success, and that means leaving the city. The narrator can't stand the city and is loneliness. That's kind of it. The hook signifies the song, and it talks about isolation in a crowded space. It could relate back to Murdoch wanting to leave his home. Dracula is one of the most popular B-side tracks, or bonus track, and I see that due to its signature saxophone sound. Gives that classic vibe. Also, this song was not produced by Dan the Animator. It was produced by Curtis Lynch Jr. Quote, I remember for this session I started the song off with the drum pattern. I kinda just went in and got to it cause I kind of had in mind already what could come out of this. So I was laying the track down with a drum and a bass line with some various dub reggae sound effects, and the thing is, I didn't hear Damon's vocals until way down the line. By the time I heard it, my bass was replaced with a live one by Junior Dan, and the drums and effects you hear are exactly as I put them down with some live instrumentation on top of them. When I heard his vocal part, I found it quite mesmerizing. I would never have gone there with the vocal, but it sounded amazing. I love Dracula. Too bad there was confusion about the whole why was it not on the main album. Anyway, the main verse seems to be talking about a job life as people go to work, but some are out of reach, meaning upper class. To get out of work, it's party time and don't sleep. Kind of like a vampire's sleep cycle. The rest of the song is just instrumental candy and I love it. The bass isn't bassy, but it sounds so right. I felt like Dracula could have been a proper single too. The instrumental is groovy, a little dance element. I guess perhaps if the vocals weren't drowsy, then yeah. But the song sounds so representative of what a cartoon band sounds like, which was the idea at the start. But Damon was getting more ideas later on and figured that Dracula couldn't fit with the rest anymore. Which, yeah, kind of right. Still very similar to some of the other dub and trip hop tracks. Trip hop is a psychedelic fusion of hip hop and electronica, originating in the 1980s. This fusion appears throughout the album with Albarn's keys and instrumentation, Kid Koala's DJ scratching, and Dan's sampling of hip hop elements. The album is very sample beats heavy, which is the reason that people and Gorillaz themselves have said that this is Russell's album. His influences of hip-hop and his mind ghost, Dale the Funky Hopo Sapien, are essential to self-titled. Tomorrow Comes Today was the official introduction to Gorillaz, a very minimal music video as it had a short deadline with the song released as an EP. It included Rock the House, Latin Simone, and 12D3. For any Blur fan, the tune, or at least the melody, sounds familiar. Well, that's because the demo of the song was called I Got the Law, a demo for Blur's Project 13.
Philadelphia gone bad. Made it to see.
Murdoch stole the demo from Albarn, turning it into some sort of cowboy noir track as he describes. 2D also describes the track as a French film that was blurred, but it was also whatever came to his head. The instrumental is an eerie earworm where the drums feel like someone is ready to shoot the other person in some sort of face-off. The bass is twangy and 2D's melodica gives the track its signature sound where it now feels like a cowboy is riding off into a sunset. To me, Tomorrow Comes Today is like a noir allure. The sound is incredibly attractive when walking in city nightlife. You are aware of your surroundings and you're prepared for what may pop out. As for the lyrics, it may sound like whatever, but it's carefully used in each line. There is a transition from the 1900s to the 2000s. The future is coming, and the narrator speaks on what the future will do, but is also prepared for tomorrow. However, they don't think they will last long in the future. It's numbing yourself to be prepared for dangerous technology, or more clearly, death. Latin Simone is trip hop with Latin fusion and has two versions, 2Ds and Que Pase Contigo. While you can listen to 2D's version digitally, you cannot have it physically unless you have the Tomorrow Comes Today EP from years ago, and as far as I'm aware, it is not being reissued. Anyway, after the EP was released and Damon and Dan were finishing up the album, they invited Ibrahim Ferrer to make Latin Simone, his song. This created the idea of the track being 2D lamenting in a therapy session, and the therapist is Ferrer, as both versions have different perspectives. Damon also thought that Ferrer's version sounded better, and I'm sorry man and other Gorillaz fans, I like the original better. I like this lament of depression with Latin influences in the sampling. Then Que Pasa Contigo just feels like it is missing context. I'm singing Get the Cool Shoe Shine and suddenly the narrator is asking me what is wrong with me. It's merely because the song is directly responding to 2D in the original, and that track, or the lyrics for that matter, are missing from the album. In universe, there is nothing about the song. Great. Simply put, 2D was depressed. I don't know how I feel, though, if my therapist said that everything is fine and something is wrong with me. It does help continue this sense of self-detriment to encapsulate 2D's depression that happens in this era. As for the sound, the backing vocals and horns are amazing and are a highlight of this track. I don't see people talking about this track often, despite being a highlight on the album and at live shows.
I hate you.
Left Hand Suzuki Method is a total spoken word track delivered by Noodle, and she talks about the philosophy of Suzuki Method. The instrumental is sample heavy with a quick rock riff. I love that. It's also the track that opens with a bong. But you're wrong, it's actually Russell blowing bubbles in his milk glass. Yeah, no, it's a bong. Look at who is making the song. But good PR, guys. Anyway, also to mention, the violin sample is by Thomas Haynes Bailey, which is featured in the Suzuki Method of violin education. This form of education is all about gaining a musical ear. It would teach you to recreate the song just by listening to it. Essentially, this whole song is a music lesson, and that's pretty cool. It has nothing to do with the album's themes, but some good alternative trip-hop spoken word thing. Rock is a genre that needs no introduction. You could just hear a song from the genre and go, oh yeah, that's rock. Or put simply, a form of music with a strong beat. Albarn was heavily involved with rock elements with Blur, and it would give a basis to the Gorillaz band. They have a singer, guitarist, bassist, and a drummer. That's like everything you need for a rock band. 5/4 is a track where its main guitar riff was recorded in the 5/4 time signature, hence its name. It was intended to be a single, but was scrapped in favor of 19-2000 and Rock the House, and man, I am sad. The music video would have been great. The characters described the song as a battle for the stage between Noodle and TD, and I'm sure I can see that, but if Noodle was prominently singing the song and not just backing vocals, then yes, I would fully agree. Hattori is great here though. Murdoch gave the track a dirty fuzzy bass by kicking a hole in his speaker cabinet, and helps the refrain just ooze for me personally. 2D also notes that recording with a riff in 5/4 while the rest is in 4/4 was difficult, which is fair. You're staying on beat with the drums, but you also have to sing the melody of the riff. I like putting this on when I'm a walk because the track is just also really groovy, and I like turning my brain off when walking, and the lyrics help with that. Yes, the song could be about magic, but the common explanation is drugs, and yeah, that makes sense. It's good for me riding that emotional high, but it will eventually make your heart stop. Then we get to the oddball of a chorus. She turned my dad on. Yeah, wow, okay. Albarn has stated that the line came from accidentally finding porn on his dad's computer, and yeah, that line makes sense now. As for in-universe, it could be about 2D lamenting about the Paula incident, and yeah, that makes sense. But that's kinda fucked up of Noodle to be singing that. Anyway, I see it as a funny line, and for a band of this nature through promotional imagery, yeah, it makes sense. Though I will say that She Made Me Kill Myself does support the explanation of 2D lamenting about Paula, but hey, I love this song for walks and turning off my brain, and that's fun. It's a fun song, mainly instrumental wise. Lyric wise, it makes Grimace's playlist concerning. Punk is a parody of punk music, there is no doubt about that. Albarn has dabbled in parody of music, say Song 2. This is also the song where Damon played every instrument for the track, except the drums. Anyway, in universe, Russell said that the track was originally an hour long, but was cut down to a minute for something fun and snappy. Yeah, I don't believe that, but sure. Other elements of the track is Noodle's 6-string guitar, Murdoch getting old people's claps, and 2D being in a frustrated mood because he lost his door keys. Okay, these are funny. Punk is one of the very few tracks that was actually documented in the Bananas documentary, and seeing Damon do his yelps for the intro is so funny and a joy to see. I always try to mimic them, they're fun. As for the lyrics, obviously they are very on nose of parody with punk statements, punk lyrics, and punk vocals, but I think the fact 2D being in a frustrated mood helps this song. Sure, the context sounds dumb, but when you think about what happens in the space of Gorillaz, it starts to make sense. Remember though, all these songs are written by Murdoch. Whether that means composition, melodies, themes, the lyrics themselves, it's not clear. But the theme of the song becomes clear when 2D yells "shut up." That is the key lyric here. He's the frontman buffoon in the band mainly due to Murdoch's abuse, so "shut up" is personal because the singer feels he can't tell his thoughts. But the song is just kind of over and does nothing outside of parody here. Overall, it serves as a quick interlude between Clapper and Gravity to, I don't know, keep listeners engaged because Clapper is an odd song and Gravity is a slow, odd song.
I think we have to have a few kind of songs like this, you know? Because we have all this nice dubby stuff and then occasionally we just throw in with a nasty track.
Fucking great, yeah.
Double Bass is a song with 2 bass players, so it's called Double Bass. No other information about that, so we turn to the in-universe story of the song. Russell bought a tiny microphone with a sucker pad on the end, and when you put it against someone's head, it records a song based on that person's thoughts. Really? Murdoch told 2D to think of 1950s rock, mainly Brian Setzer that is high on cough syrup. 2D though was also imagining Pong. 2D can make some cool sounding songs with his thoughts. I don't really think of Pong when listening to this track, but this little keyboard melody here reminds me of some sort of alternate baseball stadium music. The only thing added to this song made of thoughts was a reading done by Albarn, and when you hear it, you can tell a difference between Albarn singing in his normal voice and doing a voice for a fictional character. I know this is off topic, but there is really nothing to talk about with this track other than sounding cool and being an instrumental interlude between Gravity and Rock the House. Throughout this album, you hear this exaggerated, monotone, yelping, and noir-sounding vocals. It is like a cartoon character singing. What also helps these deliveries are these lighter backing tones, often provided by Miho Hattori as Noodle. It differentiates what Albarn has done in the past with Blur and brings the style to Gorillaz, who are a cartoon band. Anyway, yeah, Double Bass is a cool double bass instrumental. M1A1 is basically the outro of the album, and what a rocking outro, encompassing the zombie feeling throughout the album. The track begins with a sample of The Day of the Dead, and with 2D and Russell being inspired by zombie films, 2D wrote out the lyrics. Noodle also pitched in by triple tracking the guitar riffs, making that eerie scream sound. M1A1 has become a mainstay opener for live shows and definitely deserve. It's a hype song and the lyrics back that up. I just find it odd to close out the album with though, excluding the remix, but I do find it to be a great track representing this rock cartoon band as expressed in 2001.
Baby, gonna steal my soul. Ghost Train, living on until I know.
Ghost Train is a B-side track and was the first ever song recorded by the band back when it was Gorilla and Paula was the guitarist. Apparently. It was also the song that got them signed to record an album. It's a rocking song much like M1A1, just heavier and fuzzy. I'm starting to think Albarn was originally making a rock album but realized he wanted to get involved with other genres and then collab with Dan the Automator. While it could have been cool for Ghost Train to be on the main album, it doesn't fit well. The instrumental could be better. The synth is cool, but it's blaring at times. At other times, drums don't feel like they have room in the mix. As for the lyrics, it's a bit pop gibberish. They could be pointing towards signs of a broken relationship, which people connect to 2Ds and Paula's, but man, I don't think Damon or Jamie for the matter care about Paula at all, besides slight backstory, and she has been deep in the iceberg of Gorillaz lore since Phase 3 started. But it could be about Paula. Yeah, the song shouts Ghost Train throughout the track. Yeah, broken relationship. Lo-fi or low fidelity is a genre of music with imperfect elements in the recording. It's pretty much known as study music, but it is a genre of music that ranges outside of being study music. Gorillaz did it. It's an easy genre to experiment with, and that's what Damon wanted to do. New Genius Brother is the first track where listeners in 2001 found out the hard way that not every track on the album is like Clint Eastwood, throwing their copies in used bins. I like this song. I especially like the demo from Demos where Damon goes, "Whoa!" Russell, or Dan here, samples Bo Diddley's performance of Odetta's Hit or Miss and bumped up the beat with some additional drum programming. 2D then performs his falsetto throughout the track, directing it towards Murdoch. Yeah, I see that. Don't trust people you meet. Yeah, yeah, they might promise you that the river ain't deep. 2D met Murdoch through a car accident, and now Murdoch has to take care of him per the sentence ruling. 2D joined the band reluctantly and has suffered abuse from Murdoch. 2D is warning the listener to not trust people they have just met. Pretty simple message for all the brothers and sisters. The instrumental is brilliant with the scratches of the sample and the dramatic guitar riff. Man Research Clapper is nothing like Hand Clapper, and that's disappointing. But this is still a good track. The track includes a sample of In the Hill, the Mountain Queen by Raymond Scott. Then the track has a whole bunch of layers of 2D's falsetto and croaking voice. Noodle is also credited for backing vocals. People like it for the yeah. It's a drug song, how dare you. With the mention of Tafel, the callback to Sunshine and Clint Eastwood, and Bring Me Junkie in the Lawn, yeah, not much going on here. The name also comes from Raymond Scott's album Manhattan Research Inc. Hey, wait a minute. There isn't really much to go off of here. It's a simple song, lyric-wise, with the sample backing it up to the max. Soundcheck Gravity is the last of the parentheses songs, and it's my most favorite. The story is also the most funniest. So yes, there is a story to the making of the song, but it's just the real story. 2D and Noodle recorded their vocals together in the Jamaican night with the sound of crickets. Russell fucked up his decks and the vinyl, so Kid Koala did the scratches and breaks. Yeah, obviously. Then Junior Dan replaced Murdoch to play bass on the track. Yeah, obviously. At least the crickets got royalties. Not much lyrics going on here, but the story says that 2D just sang about the universe. The narrator wants to be tied to this love, but is afraid of being let go of this love. The universe is a scary place, so it's understandable. The track does feel like staring out to the night sky with the sampling drums and the strings pulling your heart around you, easing you in to begin questioning the universe as you see those stars. Effective outside of city areas, light pollution and stuffs. Hip Albatross has absolutely nothing going on. No lore, no information from Damon. Great. Albatross is definitely one of those strange songs lying around with Phase 1 being on G-sides. Nobody cares about G-sides, you know, besides the fans, but yeah. Anyway, the track is another boosting the zombie feel theming of the band and Phase 1 music with Day of the Dead and Dawn of the Dead being sampled. Faust is Murdoch's middle name, but is also the name of Noodle's song, or the name of Randy Newman's album. Besides that, it's mostly instrumental with vocals by Mihu Otori as Noodle coming in near the end. So yes, the song is in Japanese, but the lyrics are translated by 2D, which is, after a hard day, it's time to wake up. I need a makeup after a hard day. It seems to be a routine set of lyrics seen by a character, stuck in routine and nihilistic. similar to the story of Foss. It's one of the stories where a person makes a deal with the devil, but the story talks about the character Foss exchanging his soul for unlimited knowledge and pleasures. It has also been interpreted by Randy Newman in his album / musical / concert called Foss. And yeah, Foss wants some change in his life after a tired out daily life. This actually correlates with Murdoch's backstory. Murdoch grew up abused and exploited by his father, which is where he gets his abusive nature from. But Murdoch also dreamt of being a musician and one day made a deal with the devil, offering his soul to Satan whenever he becomes a famous rock star. He was then given Satan's bass, El Diablo. Despite many failed bands, he finally came across 2D and formed Gorilla, then Gorillaz. Foss the song is representative of Murdoch at the moment in Phase 1 because, the songs were written before Gorillaz became popular, and it makes sense for Noodle and 2D singing here. He does not have a singing voice, that's 2D's job. But having this eerie instrumental play and then turn around to lyrics sung in Japanese and some sort of whiplash that makes your head sway, possibly thinking on your bed. Hip-hop, formerly known as disco rap, is a genre of music that Albarn hasn't quite touched at all, but it is Russell that is knowledgeable of the genre. The first introduction to it is Clint Eastwood. The biggest hit to come out in years, surpassing Blur's Song 2. Until the next album, but focusing on now, this was an iconic track to come out and what got people into Gorillaz. Until people realized the rest of the album was not Clint Eastwood. It was also the most simple song to make, Rock Preset 1, and How to Make a Hit song. Phi Cypher was originally the rap group to be featured in the album, but Dan pushed for Del to do the rap verses. With that, Del's version was considered superior. As for the characters, Russell just recorded 2D fiddling with the melodica and 2D recorded his vocals while having a cold, which makes it interesting because the delivery here is much different than any of the other deliveries in the album.
Glad I got sunshine.
A lot more deadpan than the music video shows. Also, in canon is that Del is the ghost that resides in Russell's head, originally Phi Cypher. Anyway, the name of the track came to be Clint Eastwood, a tip of the hat to reggae songs as 2D says. More so about the melodica melody sounding like the good, the bad, and the ugly. So we have a lot to cover. Let's get the chorus out of the way. For one, there is a little back and forth between Murdoch and 2D writing the lyrics, so I say just have them both be the writers. Happy and glad are two separate things. Happy is a feeling, glad is a word to refer to being pleased. The narrator is glad that they aren't happy. Now, sunshine could be referring to drugs or just money. Eastwood said money in the movie, but this was Gorillaz back in 2001, so to be referring to drugs is not a bad thought. Referring to drugs helps connect to feeling useless, but not for long because tomorrow is a new day and is coming. Alright, now thinking about Del's verses, a lot of it comes from in-universe as the ghost rapper residing in Russell's head. Someone let him out of his cage, yeah, once Russell is asleep, Del comes out. Then the rest of the first verse is kind of like hype shit. Del feels superior and he is hyping up the listener with his lyrics, which I don't know about you, but his songs like to hype up people. A lot of it plays on ego, which is the usual theme with hype songs, and then the second verse transforms into how Del is connected to rhythm. Since he is also inside Russell's head, it's how Russell is connected to rhythm and drums. I think it's amazing that Del delivered such lyrics that connect to Gorillaz as a whole at the time with Russell holding it all together, basically making this album. Phi Cypher also did the same here, connecting to being inside Russell's head and egotistical hype and rhythm, just a lot more aggressive delivery compared to Del's cool-headed delivery. Overall, the song is a great introduction to this band and is enhanced by the capabilities of it being a song that can be added on by anyone. On the other side of things, Rock the House was another song/single featuring Del, though it is a lot different compared to Clint Eastwood and basically the rest of the album. Actually, this doesn't seem to be Damon's work at all, rather just Dan the Automator's, as this is the only writing credit he has. Mind you, Del is the rapper that Dan assisted to be put on Clint Eastwood. Damon still has writing credit, so this song is supposed to be part of Gorillaz' discography and not just Del's and Dan's song, Child. The band hates it. 2D did not want it to be on the album. Russell thinks it's missing a lot without 2D's vocals. Foreshadowing. Murdoch thinks they should have just deleted the track. Anyway, so this is more dance hip-hop than hype hip-hop when comparing Dell's tracks here. Yeah, not much to say. These lyrics are very direct to want the listener to dance to the song. It's still hip-hop. You still got Dan sampling and Damon orchestrating his musicians. And, well, only really Junior Dan. What did Damon do here? It's a fun song, yeah, it just doesn't really fit here. Kinda ruins the flow of sound in the track listing. Should have been a B-side, which it was. And again on G-sides, being a radio edit.
Couldn't escape this music even if your name's Houdini. Our tracks say life for life and don't disappear like a
The Sounder is the other B-side track, funny enough for the Rockhouse single, produced by the Gorillaz story writer and live drummer Cass Brown. Funny enough, it shares Rock the House's bass line. Also, the song was not made for the album. It was actually made while on the European leg of the Gorillaz live tour, whether it be Brown's laptop in the real world or Russell's laptop in the universe to occupy himself while the others argued. Feed Live's vocals were recorded after the Manchester concert. Actually, the track was not intended for the group. It was intended for D12, the group that would go on to record 911 following the 9/11 attack. So, as Speed Life recorded, they actually modified their lyrics from their version of Starshine. Essentially, Feel Life was going to be the star rap group of the band, but was taken away from them by Dan, but got redemption due to their versions of songs coming, performing live because Dell didn't want to, and making the Sounder. So, the Sounder is also way different compared to the other tracks made in this space because, well, it was made way after and not produced by Dan the Automator. As for the lyrics, it goes back to hype hip-hop, with Fee and Life hyping up the band's recognition and members. Also kind of like a revenge at play. It's like that when we write raps, we're not from the Empire, but we still strike back. Nice. As for 2D's chorus, the first two lines are depression, next two can refer to the chorus being an interlude between the rap verses as the instrumental kind of calms down, the last four lines metal loss. Like, was 2D called up to deliver the chorus? Well, he is part of the band. Also, the kid's part seems a bit random to include, I don't know. It's a fun song, and it's cool for songs to be made while on tour. Nice little bonus track from the main Faces sound. So, I understand that this isn't really a genre, but 2D's musical input feels intimate and personal of lo-fi folktronica. He isn't intelligent, but a kind person who has a love for music, keyboard specifically, so to help define that style is his song, 12D3. It's a lo-fi down-tempo folktronica song that introduces the character 2D, it being the first character song of the band by Damon. It introduces 2D being a keyboard player of the band, but also Sad Boy. 12D3 is a play on his name and could be a simple counting lyric, but I do like the interpretation that it sounds like Want to Be Free. Flows perfectly. It's a lovely song, and I wish there was more of these in the band's discography.
The nature of Gorillaz was irrepressible. Their debut album featuring the massive hit Clint Eastwood.
Russell is the heart of the self-titled album. Back to what I said at the beginning of the analysis, the elements of samples and hip-hop came from the character of Russell Hobbs. In universe, he was leading the band on what to do and creating the instrumentation. Yeah, Murdoch and 2D wrote the album, but Russell made those writings into full songs. What the album meant to the people, well, not much. It was number 3 in the UK charts and 14 in the US. While very popular, it was popular for limited reasons. Clint Eastwood in 2000. More so the remixes of those songs. The rest of the songs just weren't those songs, so many copies were just left behind in used bins. A lot of critics gave 7 out of 10. It's good, I guess. But I love this album. It's such a rock band album that went above and beyond to make new sounds and a vibrant world of edgy cartoon characters. It perfectly encapsulates mental states of transition of the 1900s to the 2000s in terms of aesthetic and sound. It was an hour-length cartoon that was fun to watch, laughing, crying, and thinking. Maybe not at its full potential, I guess it is kind of hard sometimes to think of the characters while listening to the songs, but the music videos help. The G bites are way too short though, probably didn't have a lot of money. The live shows must have been hurting eyes, Jesus. But then when you see cool stuff like this with the holograms, that is cool. This was a massive multimedia project and 2 men behind it succeeded. But that's the thing, it was a massive multimedia project that was just a gimmick. Yeah, cartoon characters, what else are they gonna do? Yeah, what else? These are not real people, it's just 2 British dudes sharing a flat. Well, that will change 4 years later. To be continued, analyzing Demon Days. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe to see the series keep going and see other of my content, and ring the bell to be notified of that content. And I'll see you all later. First people you meet, yeah, yeah, ain't my promise you got a river AD.